Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining our webinar this morning. I hope you can all hear me okay. If there's any issues with sound, then please do shout right away in the chat pane or the questions pane. Again, thank you for joining us to our second HubSpot training webinar. Just to introduce myself, for those of you who weren't on the webinar a couple of weeks ago, I'm Matt. I'm the Group Head of Marketing here at the B2B Marketing Lab. I've been working here for around 5 years, just under. So have a sort of quite good knowledge of the HubSpot tool, but I'll also be joined by Jess, one of our HubSpot trainers and account directors on the webinar today. Just to give you a quick little bit of background about who we are and where we've come from. As I mentioned, this is us, we're the B2B Marketing Lab. We are part of a group of companies called the ITPR Group. We are one company within that group, which also consists of ITPR, which is a digital PR agency, as well as Be Found Online, which is a international PPC and SEO agency. But moving on, this is us. We are a HubSpot Diamond partner. We only work with HubSpot customers and HubSpot clients. We are, as you can see, 100% inbound and 1000% HubSpot, of which we have 32 full-time HubSpot experts. That is across London and Singapore. So we have about 30 guys in London and 2 guys who work out of our Singapore office. Between us, we have over 160 HubSpot accreditations. For those of you who have taken HubSpot accreditations, you know sort of the learning and the training and the development that goes into those. So we encourage everyone here to take those certifications. One of the newest certifications in the platform is what's called a HubSpot Certified Trainer. Previously, basically anyone could run HubSpot training sessions and classes and webinars. But nowadays HubSpot have sort of formulated that a little bit, and you actually have to pass an exam and a whole workbook and some tests to actually call yourself a HubSpot certified trainer, which we are delighted to say that we are. We've been running HubSpot training classroom-based HubSpot training in our offices for 5 years now. So we actually run beginner HubSpot training as well as advanced HubSpot training out of our offices in London and now in Singapore once a month. If you have any sort of questions or want some more information about those, please don't hesitate to reach out. Today I am delighted to be joined by my colleague Jess Gamble, who is one of the account directors here at the B2B Marketing Lab. Jess basically heads up quite a lot of our large accounts on the HubSpot side of things. And yeah, is a HubSpot certified trainer herself, and who's going to run through today exactly how to build HubSpot emails that convert. So Jess?
Hi everyone. As Matt said, thank you very much for joining us today. I just have to give a quick shout out to my fellow Jess who's joined us. So hi Jess. Today we're going to talk about how to build HubSpot emails that convert. So if anyone has gone into the email tool in HubSpot, hopefully you can follow along. So there are 3 main types of emails that we build out for our clients in HubSpot. They are follow-up emails. So these are generally emails that send to someone after they have downloaded something or filled out a form. And these are, hi, thanks for downloading. Here's a link to that really awesome thing that you downloaded. Let us know if you have any questions, that kind of thing. Then you have your batch emails, where you have a once-off email that's going to a predefined list of people, and you just want to send that out of HubSpot and track its engagement and results. And then you have the automated emails. So these are the emails that you save for automation. You send them out using workflows, and these are based on triggers or actions or certain sets of behaviors that the contact will do in order to get this email. So HubSpot has a really great, easy to use editing tool. It allows you to test your email on different devices, see what your recipients, how they would see that email using their different email clients, and it also has a built-in optimization tool, which looks a bit like this. So basically HubSpot you can say, I've scheduled this for Thursday at 4:21. HubSpot will go, yeah, okay, Thursday is a great time to send it out. You're going to get the most engagement there. but it might tell you, oh, but you're sending it out in the afternoon. Actually, your contacts engage better at 7 a.m. Or they're going to give you a lot of recommendations, which are really great. Obviously, you need to have sent some emails in there to get some of this data there so they can make these recommendations, but it's definitely a part of the tool that you should be looking at. So where does this email content sit in the buyer's journey? So you generally use emails for the consideration and decision stages. So you're going to use this email content to nurture your leads, give them any educational or informative information that they need in order to help them make the right decision. You're also going to use email to delight your customers once they have purchased your offering. So this is where you're going to help them with any questions they might have on how to use your product or service once they've purchased. This is also where you could upsell or cross-sell to them once they've made the initial purchase. So what does this look like in HubSpot? So I'm going to jump into the tool over here. So this is your normal HubSpot dashboard. To get to email, you're going to click on marketing. And now I've done this weird thing with the dictionary again. There we go, marketing, email, and you're going to be taken to your email dashboard. So this is where you can see all of the emails that are there. Now this GoToWebinar thing is kind of in my way. Sorry, Matt. So I'm going to select create email. And then, so now there are two options. So HubSpot's drag and drop option is relatively new. If you're using the free HubSpot marketing tools, you're probably using this. We will run some training on this later on when this is fully rolled out. But if you do have any questions about this, you can pop us an email after the webinar. We're going to use the classic editor today. So once you've clicked classic editor, you're going to select a template. Okay, so I am going to use this template that is already here. We've already used this. You can also use a template from the HubSpot marketplace. Sorry, Matt's showing me that I'm using the wrong template. So yeah, there are a whole lot of templates available on the HubSpot marketplace. So I'll show you where that is in a second. I'm going to call this email webinar test, and I'm going to create it. So then it takes you to the editing dashboard. Here is where you're going to put in who this email comes from. So what you can do here is if your contacts have HubSpot owners, or what HubSpot is now called contact owners, you can set up that the recipient will receive this email from the owner of their contact. So you can set up here HubSpot owner, and that's all great. I'm going to set this email to come from me. So there we go. There's me. There is my email address. Okay, so subject line. What I would always recommend is that you send out this email in more than one version so that you can test your subject line so you can see what your audience engages more with. You can also use personalization tokens in your subject line to see if that encourages someone to open the email. So I'm going to go personalize and add in a personalization token. I'm going to use first name, and I'm going to say, okay, so this is important. You're going to need to set a default property or a default value for this property. So that means that if you don't have this contact's first name, what do you want to appear there? So for this thing, I would normally say that instead of first name, I put a default value like there. So if I'm saying hi first name, it would come up as hi there, and it wouldn't look like anything had gone seriously wrong. So you can see here it's checked use the property's global default value. So we've already got their set. I'm going to untick it because I was going to use here the person's first name, comma, you'll never believe this amazing thing that once you need to open this email for. So for this subject line, I'm going to change it to hi, but I'm going to take caps locks off. Okay, insert. So you can see here's my personalization token and my default. And then you can say, let's think of a subject line. Hi, here is your ebook. So then your preview text here, this is some email clients show a little bit of preview text when they're looking, when your email is in the sidebar. You can also click on the little eye and it'll show you what all of these things are. So you can add in here just like a short sentence of what this email is about. So here is the ebook you downloaded. Okay, you can also add in personalization tokens here. So I'm going to click, oh, HubSpot's even given me a little nudge here. Looks a bit short, try to write a little bit more. So it will encourage you to write the optimal length of preview text. I'm going to click done. So now I can edit my email. So you'll see here that we have an image in our template. If I want to change the image, I just click on the pencil. It'll take me into the module settings, and I can either replace the image or remove it completely. I can change its size, either with quick sizes or with actual manual sizes. I can change the alt text, and I can insert a link if I'd like to. Okay, so I'm not going to edit that, so I'm going to click Save and go to Module List. Then if I want to edit the body of text, I'm going to click here. You can see that there is a personalization token here, which is great. The other thing that I would recommend you do when you're sending an email is you have one clear goal or call to action in your email. You want to make sure that it's very clear to the recipient what they need to do after reading that email. So you can edit your text. I'm going to remove all of this, and I'm going to add a call to action. So I'm going to click on this little button which says insert call to action, and I'm going to choose watch now because our next webinar will be great and you should join it. So you can see I've added in my one CTA. That's great. You'll see that there are a whole lot of other little icons on the left-hand side. So the first one is the preview icon that I mentioned earlier. You can preview how this email is going to look on different devices and to different contacts. So if you select mobile, you can see what it'll look like on their mobile. You can even select to preview it as a specific contact. And if someone else in your organization also needs to be able to preview this email, you can copy the link and share it with them so they can also see what it's like. The next icon is a test email. So you can send a test email, and I can choose to send it to Matt, and I can even select that I want him to preview it as if he is a certain contact in our list so that he can see that all the personalization tokens are working and it's exactly what we want it to be. So here's where you can test it in email clients. And this is the optimization bit that I was talking about. So you can see HubSpot is telling me my email subject line is 73 characters. My email includes 0 links. I'm sending it on a Wednesday because today's Wednesday. And then you can see the things that we've done well. So we've included some preview text. We've included some personalization. There is one call to action, which is a good thing. And yeah, so then you're going to go to the settings. So here is your, oh, hold on, let me just get rid of that. Hi, back. I can't get rid of that. Ha, there we go. So if you go to settings, this is your internal email name. So that's what you're going to name it so that you can easily find it. Subscription type is very important in our post-GDPR world. So you need to select this. I'm going to, since I was talking about ebooks and stuff in my subject line, I'm going to select that as a follow-up email. And your campaign, if you're doing internal campaign tracking, this is where you would either select a campaign or create a new one if necessary. So then your recipients. So you're either going to add recipients and you're going to select from a list, or you can create a new list straight from this dashboard, or you can save for automation. So you'd save for automation if you're going to use this in a workflow later on. So I have already created a list. So here's my list, leads, webinar, tests, and I'm going to select include. So you can see here it says send to leads, webinar, test. I can also include a list I don't want to go to. So if I have a list of my competitors or something like that that I really want to make sure this email doesn't go to, I can include it there. You'll see over here, there is a little tick box that we've got automatically ticked saying don't send to unengaged contacts. So what are unengaged contacts? HubSpot, after you have sent a whole bunch of emails, HubSpot checks and says, oh, this person has not opened any of your, I think it's about 15 emails that you need to have sent before they'll start to populate this. But basically they go, this person hasn't opened one of your last 15 emails. They're definitely unengaged. You don't want to send this email to them. So yeah, we always have that tick because if someone hasn't opened our last 15 emails, we probably don't want to send them another one. So that's ticked. And you can see my total recipients are 9. So now you go to review. So this is HubSpot's like final check before you're going to send. So you can see here, did you want to customize the plain text version? I'm okay. I don't have a campaign associated with this email, so I should do that. You can see I've selected the from, I've selected the subject, the preview text, and all of that. So that's all great. And I've set a default value for my personalization token. So what's nice here is if you have forgotten to do any of these things, it'll pop up here with a big red X and you'll have to fix it before you send it. Okay, so then I'm going to go to send or schedule. So you have 3 options here. You can send it right now. You can schedule it for later, and here you can select a date and a time, or, and what I would say my personal favorite is, you can schedule it based on time zones. So what this means is that I will schedule it to go out at a certain day at a certain time, and every contact who I know is in a different time zone based on their country or location, they will get it at that time in their time zone. So that's really great. It means that people aren't getting your emails at a very random time in the middle of the night because of where they are based in the world. So yeah, that is how you build and send an email in HubSpot. I did want to have a quick look at the marketplace. So you can see here, this is the HubSpot marketplace. You can find it under marketing, under files and templates, and then template marketplace. That'll get you here. If you are looking for an email template, you can filter by category. You can just go email, and you can have a look at all the email templates on offer to you. Some of these are free, so you can filter by free and have a look at that. So back to our slides. I think Matt wanted to jump in here.
Thank you for that, Jess. You can breathe for a second now. Very interesting. I think just to follow up and I guess summarize what Jess said, I think one of the key things, and as sort of heading up the marketing side here, I know one of the key things that we use within the HubSpot tool is just knowing that HubSpot makes it very, very easy and simple for you to segment your emails and also target your emails based on who it's going to. So things like being able to send in a different time zone is very, very useful if you're sending to, people like us, people in Singapore, people in the US. And also, as you click down the left-hand side, as you get to things like the optimization, looking at your subject lines, looking at whether you have call to actions, looking at even which day and which time you're sending it. But also, once you've put your list into the email in the recipients, it will actually tell you how many people within your list are at a certain life cycle stage or something like that. All with the basis that it can, you should be editing your text and editing your calls to action based on exactly who you're sending it to. I'm sure Jess would agree, the one thing that we want people to try and avoid is sending huge batch emails to everybody within your database. It's much better to send lots and lots and lots of smaller, much more targeted, segmented emails. Right, I will pass back over to Jess now. Jess is just going to go through some key takeaways. Whilst Jess is going through that, if anyone has any questions, please post them within the chat pane and the question pane. I will keep an eye on them. But otherwise, I will pass back to Jess.
Yeah, so I thought we could just round up the webinar with some of the email best practices that we've mentioned throughout this. So the first one for me is make sure that you're testing your subject lines. Something that Matt and I were actually discussing before we started the webinar was plain text versus HTML emails and which one is best. And my answer to that was, I recommend that you test it. So if everyone in your organization is saying we should definitely have a beautifully designed HTML mailer, send it. Send it to half of the people on your list, send the plain text message to the other half, and see which one responds better. As Matt said earlier, remember to segment your recipients. Then you can make sure that the call to action that you include in your email is specific to the recipient that you are sending it to. Remember to use personalization tokens in the subject line or in the body of your email. It really does increase engagement and it makes it look a bit more natural. Decide on the one clear goal of your email so that you have one thing that you want the recipient to do once they've opened it. Remember to test and preview your email on different devices and on different email clients. I would always recommend to set the email to send during local time zones, and make sure your emails are sent from actual real people. We know that that really does increase the engagement of the email. It's much better than it coming from info@b2bmarketinglab.com and the from person being marketing. So yeah, does anyone have any questions?
I think we'll just give it a second. Just to fire one at you quickly, Jess. You mentioned a couple of times about including one call to action within an email and only one. Why would you say you had like 3 ebooks or 3 blogs or 3 events coming up? Why would you only promote one of them in an email as opposed to promote them all?
Well, Matt, that's a very good question. I think it's important to promote one because then you can test that call to action firstly. So if I have 3 things in my mail, I've got 3 different options for the person. I would rather, if I know that someone is either at a particular life cycle stage or has already downloaded something else of ours, serve them a personalized call to action so that it's relevant to them. And I also think that as a user, when you're looking through an email, like there's so many different things to click, like it can get lost very easily. I think that if you send that email with one call to action, you have a clear goal. And if a person has opened and not clicked, you can go, okay, great, that one wasn't for them. Next time I should send something else.
Okay, fab. And one last one, in terms of just going back to you had a slide around how you use different emails for different stages of the buyer's journey.
Yes.
How would you tailor an email based on whether it was like a new lead, maybe a sales qualified lead, all the way through to whether it was like a full paying customer of yours?
That's another great question. I think it's important to remember, as you said, where these people are in the buyer's journey. So if it's a brand new lead, I'd probably make sure that the content that we're sharing with them is really not a heavy sales push. It's again like way more with inbound methodology, so a lot more educational, a nice ebook, something that's not going to push them too hard about who we are and what we do. If they're a bit further down the funnel, like a more qualified lead, I'd probably send them a case study or something more about how what we do can help them. So a lot more about us. Maybe tell them that they can request a demo or something that, because I know that they're further down in the funnel, they're much closer to making a decision. Whereas with a customer, I'd make sure that I'm sending them stuff that is very personalized, because if they're our customer, we should know a lot about them. So I would want to use a lot of personalization tokens. I want to make sure we're asking them specific questions about the difficulties or the challenges they have. And I'd want to make sure that I'm also using the email when you're a customer to get your feedback, to find out how you're finding using our product or our service. Is there anything you can help us with? And if I do decide to use that email for any cross-sell or upsell opportunities, I'd also make sure it's very gentle and very specific to the customer that we are emailing.
Fab. Thank you. Guys, I think we will probably call it a day there and give the guys half an hour of their day back, which I'm sure you will all appreciate. Just to wrap up quickly, as I mentioned earlier, we run face-to-face classroom HubSpot training within our offices in London and Singapore. The ones in London are on the following dates. So they're usually towards the end of each month. Obviously, we try to put them a little bit earlier in the month in December to avoid running one on Christmas Day, which I'm sure Jess would not appreciate.
Thanks, Matt.
And last but not least, we have another webinar in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be running through how to build smart CTAs within the HubSpot tool. What exactly does that mean? That means that essentially within your HubSpot CMS and within landing pages and stuff, you can use smart CTAs which appear differently depending on who is viewing them. So going back to Jess's comments about providing different content and different offers to people who are leads, people who are SQLs, people who are customers, we will show you exactly how you can do that within the HubSpot tool.
And I have to say that if you are using HubSpot and you're not utilizing smart content, you really are missing out on an amazing aspect of HubSpot that a lot of other CMSs don't have. So definitely join our next webinar.
Fab. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
Hope you